developed this reflex in social situations. Actually, I've mastered it. You know that moment in a conversation where the air shifts slightly? People are swapping life updates from weekend plans to home renovations to work. And suddenly you feel like a tourist in a country you forgot to learn the language for. It's subtle. A look, a pause, a well-meaning question that just knocks something loose inside you. Because even when life is full, there's moments that can feel invisible. Whenever the conversation turns to kids or family, which it always does, I can feel my body go into a spin. So I smile, I sip, I prepare my script. Maybe one day, cue the awkward laugh, the quick subject change, look around to see has anyone noticed that I've short-circuited inside. Because even in my tender young age of 30-something, with a full, joyful, purpose-driven life, part of me shrinks. Not because I'm ashamed of my life, but I have been conditioned to think it should look different, that fulfillment is linear, and I've somehow taken a wrong turn. I'm not short on dreams or desires, but there's days I feel like I'm doing life wrong. Like I missed a class that everyone else took. Like I showed up to a group project and realized I was the only one without a partner. Isn't that the moment many of us dread when someone asks, "So are you seeing anyone?" And there's no easy way to say, "No, I'm just seeing myself, and honestly, she's a bit of a legend." The thing is, I know I'm not alone, but hardly anyone is really talking about it. In fact, I am part of one of the fastest growing demographics in the Western world. Single, child-free adults in their 30s and 40s. A Paw research report found that more and more adults between the ages of 25 to 54 are living without a spouse or a partner, with a notable rise in those aged between 40 to 54 than previous decades. And according to Morgan Stanley, 45% of women between the ages of 25 to 44 are projected to be single by 2030. And additionally, a 2025 Paw research report found that 16% of US adults have reported to feeling lonely or isolated on multiple times, with the trend being most prominent in those under 50, regardless of their marital status. So in other words, being single doesn't automatically mean loneliness, but feeling disconnected does. The real crisis isn't relationship status, it's our weakening social bonds. But still, we whisper, we sugarcoat it. We say, just haven't met the right person yet. But what if the discomfort isn't the absence of a relationship, but the absence of permission to feel whole without one? Many of us didn't choose this path in some bold, empowered, eat, pray, love kind of way. Life just unfolded, or didn't. And even if you have carved out a vibrant life, there's still that moment on a Sunday night where the world goes quiet, everyone disappears into their nuclear units. Instagram becomes a highlight reel of roast dinners and matching pajamas. And you're standing in your kitchen in an old hoodie, eating a takeaway meal deal for two, even though it's clearly for one. And you try to romanticize your life. You light a candle, you say you're in your soft girl era. But somewhere in between the slices, there's an ache. Not just for something or someone, but for a feeling of being part of a picture that everyone else seems to be in. And you wonder, are you behind? Or are you just on a different road? And even those who did choose, they still carry a quite cultural shame. Because we live in a world that continues to position partnership, especially child-rearing partnership, as the ultimate symbol of adult success. And when you deviate from that model, you're not viewed as autonomous. you're seen as suspect. The questions quickly become, what's wrong with her? Is she too picky? Is she too career-driven? Is she too intimidating? Or even worse, is she too much? That's not about relationship status. That is about respect. We need to make room for a more expansive narrative. One where single women aren't pitied or patronized or judged, but they're validated, respected, and celebrated. Sometimes we can put people in boxes and label them. That's how society has built us to be. And that's why we need to potentially make a more expansive narrative. Because the question I put to you is, are we craving a partner and child, or are we craving belonging? Because society tells us a relationship makes us legit. Are we stuck in an old belief system, passed down for generations? One where a woman's worth is measured by the ring on her finger and the prom in her hallway. Let's sit with that. Because even when we resist the messaging, it's consciously baked in. From fairy tales to family dinner tables, where you're seated next to the salt instead of given a +1. That's not poor seating etiquette. That's social invisibility. Sometimes the weight of tradition is invincible until you're the one carrying it. We are the most self-sufficient, educated, ambitious generation of women in history. We've built careers, carved out communities, found purpose. But yet there it is, this ticking clock, biological, societal, emotional. We're told to start a family by 25 or we'll miss out. It's made sound as simple as a supermarket run before the shelves empty. Don't forget your eggs, frozen, obviously. It's like a storm warning. Stack up on bread, milk, and a husband before it's too late. The messaging is always fear-based, poster-worthy panic. Freeze your eggs now. Find a husband now. Settle down yesterday or regret it. And you know what? Sometimes it works. We spiral. We re-download the apps. We sit on our friends' sofas and question, are we actually too picky? Or are we just permanently cursed? And sometimes, if I'm being completely honest, I don't know what I want. If I had a magic wand, would I choose marriage and motherhood? I don't know for sure. But what I do know is sometimes I feel excluded. I get wedding invites without a +1. I see the pity face when I say I'm single. I've sat in rooms where motherhood is the main currency, and I feel like I've forgotten my wallet. One time at a baby shower, I was asked if I had children. I said no. The lady smiled and said, "That's okay. At least there's still time." At least. As if all women eventually realize they want children. Like I'm on a delayed flight to maternal instinct and the gate's about to close. The thing is, my life is full. I love, I laugh, I serve, I dance, I travel. I've created something that's real and beautiful. Would I love a partner? Yes. Does it define me? Absolutely not. So many of us are out here wondering, do I want a child and partner for me? Or because I've been conditioned to believe that's what completion looks like? Are we mistaking the belonging to feel whole with the pressure to tick a box? And even deeper, can we feel whole without a child and partner? What if wholeness isn't something we earn through others, but something we remember within ourselves? The studies show people weren't lonely because they were single. They were lonely because they felt unseen, misunderstood, and invalidated. That's the real epidemic. Not silence, not singleness, not childlessness, but the quiet shame of not fitting the mold. You see, shame thrives in silence, but truth thrives in solidarity. That's why we need more people saying, I may not have the traditional markers of success, but I've meaning, connection, and a sense of self I fought hard to find. So, what if we stopped treating singlehood like a waiting room? What if we stopped asking women when they'd settle down and started asking them what makes them feel alive? This isn't about rejecting love or pretending we don't ache sometimes. It's about honouring the complexity, the in between, the contradictions. Because maybe the question's not, do you think you'll ever have kids? Maybe it's, can you see your life as whole, even if that chapter never gets written? And maybe, just maybe, if we started living from that truth, we'd stop apologising for our lives and start belonging to them. Thank you.